and this is from the Library and Research Service. Section 6B of the Act allows for electronic monitoring or smart tagging in relation to a person charged with a serious offence or appealing against a sentence of imprisonment imposed by the District Court or out on bail. And unfortunately, that section of the 97 Act has never commenced. And we were talking about alternates to bail, and the Criminal Justice Act of 2006 allows for an alternate sentence to imprisonment of electronic tagging. And research done by our library here has shown that in Florida, those who were subject to smart tagging or electronic monitoring for crimes such as property crimes, drug-related crimes, they saw that the amount of reoffending dropped by 95%. And I note, again from the Library and Research Service, that to monitor somebody for a month costs €195. To imprison someone for a day is €263. So I obviously agree with the bill, because we want to tackle those who are responsible for the majority of crimes, but I think smart policing also involves using smart technology, and I'm concerned that rather than putting the 25% of the habitual offenders into prison while they're awaiting their trial to be heard, and then obviously, and I agree with not allowing for them to throw all, oh, by the way, I committed all these other crimes. I mean, recently we've had cases where somebody who had been convicted 60 times for burglary got yet again another sentence, which threw all the previous convictions into a pot, and he got 6 months. Now, let's be honest, there's going to be 61 convictions, and 62 and 63. I mean, that person is a habitual offender. What I think we should be looking at, as well as this piece of legislation, is using the 1997 Bail Act and the 2006 Act, and actually using electronic tagging, smart tagging, and using that as well for other habitual offenders. And the Minister would be aware of this, and I'm sure the officials as well. Of the 500 people who were disqualified from driving, of the 16,000 who were disqualified from driving, 500 were subsequently involved in serious accidents, and some causing death. Now, if we had used electronic monitoring or smart tagging, any member of Garda Síochána would know if that person was in a car at any time, and they could stop that car, and if there was no other driver, they could put that person into prison. What I'm talking about here is an addition to this bill and this piece of legislation, but my question to the Minister ultimately is, does our prison system have the capacity to deal with the situation of 25% of those burglars who are before the courts being put into the system? And will the judge ultimately turn around and say, I agree with the guards, this man should not be granted bail, but unfortunately the prison system doesn't allow for me to put him in there, and as well as that, he may not get a trial within 12 months, and therefore I cannot incarcerate him. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.